All right, welcome everybody. I'm Tanya Smith, and this is Stream Like a Boss TV. And tonight, the topic that we're going to cover has to do with how I went live consistently for 365 days. I'm going to clarify that a little bit, but I'm going to also share some tips with you on how you can too. And I want to share a little bit specifically about the impact that it made on my personal and professional life, because there were a lot of impacts. There were a lot of things that came as a result of me doing this live stream thing and doing it consistently. So if you take away nothing else from tonight, the most important thing I want you to do is to keep in mind that whatever you put your heart and soul into as it relates to your career, as it relates to your business, or whatever it is you're doing, you need to make a commitment. And consistency is so important. So I want to welcome you to the show. If you're brand new to the show, I see some folks that are here already. Awesome, awesome, awesome. If you're brand new to the show, you know what to do. Well, you don't know what to do. You're going to type in hashtag newbie. If you've been here any time before now, then you're family now. And you get to type in hashtag OG. Let me pop that up real quick. I see some folks that I definitely want to say hello to. So we'll be getting to your comments in just a second. We're going live a little bit earlier than we normally do tonight because I wanted to make sure that I'm not competing with a larger live stream that's taking place in about 30 minutes, but also because I'm committed to showing up for you on Thursdays. And today is Thursday, right? All right, let me say hello, and I'm going to acknowledge some folks that are in the comments. I love it, OG-ish. You're not an OG-ish. You are a straight up OG, sir. And let me make sure I'm going to change this background and fix this text real fast. Let's do that. I had made some changes a little bit earlier, but we will fix that for us. Also, I want to acknowledge that I see Carlos Tacos in the house. You know, I always have to give you a little bit of love whenever you're here, Carlos. You're not a newbie. You're hashtag fam OG. And David Hunt, I'm not even going to pop up your hashtag new because you know you're OG too. All right. Thank you, Dan. So Dan actually submitted my name for Road Creator of the Year, which I just so appreciate and was so surprised about. Saeed, the facilitator. Definitely check him out, by the way, y'all. He's got some really great stuff on YouTube. Hey, Tanya, greetings from Germany. So what time is it where you are, Saeed? You got to let me know because you usually tell me so that I can be in awe. All right. Look, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Remember to make sure you type in hashtag newbie or OG, depending on which one you fall into, which category you fall into. If this is your first time, you're a newbie. If you've been here before, you're hashtag OG, which means you're fam. And we're going to talk tonight again about the idea of live streaming consistently. And I'm going to share a little bit of my personal journey. So on the other side of a short video, we'll be right back and we're going to talk about that and do a deep dive. But I also want to give you some actionable lessons that I learned that you can hopefully take away and use in your own stream and in your business in general. Whatever it is you're doing, hopefully these lessons will follow you and be something that you can use to just continue to improve. All right? Okay. I will. What's up, Jay Byron Fixed Point? Good to see you. I love it. I love it. Okay. See you on the other side of this video. Make sure you grab your notepad and your pen and your favorite cup of hydration, whatever that might be. And on the other side of this, we will dive right on into tonight's topic. And I've got 3 key message points I want to share with you as it relates to consistency and going live, on the regular. That's what we'll talk about. Okay, see you in a second. Alrighty, folks, again, welcome. I'm Tanya Smith, and this is Stream Like a Boss TV, and I'm just always thrilled that you're here to learn how to stream like a boss. And so we're going to be learning how to leverage live stream video strategies. And one of the things that I love to do on Thursdays is to help you, whether you're a coach, a course creator, a consultant, or anyone who's in a service business, to really leverage a 4-step system that I call the boss formula to transform your audience from crickets to cash. And one of the things that I absolutely tend to emphasize in everything I do is how you can use live streaming to really reach the audience that is your ideal family, like it's your community, just like the folks who are here in this chat right now. And also so that you can sell more services if you are a business owner. It's important for you to be able to sell. This is not just a hobby for you. This is something that is going to potentially make you money and create revenue. And so we want to talk about strategies that can do that. Now, one of my favorite things to talk about is mindset. And in order for me to really talk about mindset, I feel like I kind of have to go back a little bit and talk about my personal journey with live streaming. And so I'm going to share some things, some really honest things with you tonight. I even have a couple of pictures that I'm going to share and an old video. So get ready for that, that you'll be able to take a look at, because things didn't just like start off day one the way they look now. Everything might appear to be polished and put together today, but it absolutely wasn't like this years ago when I first started. And so one of the messages I want to share with you is about the whole idea of perfection, right? That's a myth. Perfection is a myth. There's no such thing as waiting until all the lights are green. I say that all the time before you pull out of the garage. And so the same thing applies when it comes to live streaming or anything else. So what I promised I would share with you are 3 key messages. And absolutely, I'm here live right now with you. So feel free to ask questions, leave comments, share any golden nuggets that you might pull up, because I want to acknowledge that too. And I'm going to go ahead and answer this question from Saeed real quick here, because I think that this is something that will help me to kick off a few other things. If you had to choose only live or only video on demand, which one would I choose? And personally, I would say live. And I will share with you a little bit more about why I say that as I talk a little bit about my story and share some things with you. But let's dive into key message point 1, because I really want to drive these 3 points home, and hopefully it's going to make an impact for you. Live streaming was absolutely not my jam. As a matter of fact, it was the furthest away from anything I wanted to do as I was running my business. I really started with audio. I was good with audio. I was okay with doing behind the scenes type of work, and in growing my business, I was able to do so with tools back in the day like Blog Talk Radio. And for those of you who know this app, I want you to put in, I don't know what you can put in a fire emoji if this resonates with you, but it was an app called Clamor, Clammr, missing an E. Clamor was one of my favorite tools. It was a podcasting tool, but it was kind of like a short snippet type of podcast. So I could do like minute-long podcasts, and those made a real impact. It was quick and simple and to the point. And it was just audio only. So no real prep other than, preparing your script for the 1 minute, sort of like we do with YouTube Shorts now and some of the other reels and those type of clips, but without the video aspect. I was absolutely good with just being behind the scenes and having slides and having, a PowerPoint or whatever you want to have up on screen, doing a screen share and just talking because that felt like my comfort zone. But I'm going to share this point number 1 with you. Point number 1 is that you don't need to wait to start live streaming. Point number 1, and I'll share a little bit about why I'm saying this, but point number 1 is it's about authenticity. It's about progress over perfection. So if you stop focusing on the idea that things have to be perfect, and you start thinking about your why is it that you actually want to go live? Why do you want to talk to people? Why do you want to have conversations? Because honestly, this is one of my favorite tools now to create conversations with amazing people like you. We are literally having conversations. I'm not a talking head. And this is one of the reasons why, to Saeed's question about which would I prefer, why I love live stream over VODs or videos on demand. I love the aspect of being able to really connect with people on a more personal and more in-depth level. And being an introvert, that really is my happier place to go deeper instead of wider with the conversations, to get to know people in a way that makes them feel comfortable, makes them feel like they know me too, and that where we can have like reality checks with each other. Because I learn every single time I get on this camera, seriously. But initially, when I first started out, I was afraid. I was afraid, and I had to face those fears. Let me tell you what I was afraid of. And if any of you have a fear, if there's a specific fear that you either faced before about live streaming or you're facing now, I just want you to write that one fear into the comments, because I'm curious if you face some of the same fears. Some of the fears that I faced the fear of judgment. There is a record player. For those of you who know what a record player is, there's a CD, there's a streaming radio, podcast, whatever. There's something that's playing in a loop over and over in your head based on things that people have said to you over time. Negative things where they told you you weren't good enough, you didn't have enough. There was something about something that people told you previously, whether it was parents, other family members, friends, not friends, bullies. But there was this record player that kept playing over and over in my own head that told me I was not worthy. And so one of the fears that I had getting on camera was that somebody would judge and say, what is she talking about? She's boring. I don't like what she's wearing. I don't like what she looks like. I don't like her face. I don't like her weight. I don't like her skin tone, whatever it could be. And that bothered me. And I don't know if that's something that bothers you, but it bothered me to be judged, right? Another fear that I had is that I literally wouldn't have something important to say. It wouldn't be important enough that people would care about what I had to say. Another fear I had was that I couldn't do it because I didn't have the right equipment and gear. Like I wasn't ready. Let me see. I see some fears in here. I'm going to pop these up in the chat as well. Chocolate Quilts, what's up? Fear of losing your train of thinking. Yeah, so not staying on target because maybe you're a talker, right? And maybe you're afraid that you're not going to stay on track. I get that. I understand that. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that, Saeed. I love that you wrote that because I want to come back and talk a little bit about that. Carlos Taco said, I would love to go live every day, but I don't know what niche to choose. Yes. No, I don't want to talk about food every day because I do think it's too popular. Okay, so that's another fear that sometimes we come up with, a fear of talking about something that is too competitive, where we feel like we won't stand out because somebody else is already talking about that thing. And so how dare we jump into the conversation and try to be seen or heard? All of those are valid fears. These are things that you may face. But what I would love to tell you is that fear of judgment, that fear of feeling vulnerable on camera for whatever your reason might be, while it is reasonable and while it is common, once you make the choice to step out of your comfort zone and you understand what your reason why is, and you embrace that reason. And for me, the reason was I felt like in my heart of hearts, I had something to say. I felt like there was a purpose. There was a reason why I was supposed to be talking to people. And I knew from the audio stuff that I was doing that I was making an impact in some way. But what I started realizing is over time that my organic reach was slipping dramatically, and I couldn't fill seats for courses and other things like I was previously. So I made a decision to go live. I made that decision because I kept reading, I kept hearing that the social platforms were asking for live streaming. Now, why do the socials ask for that? They ask for it because it keeps people longer on their sites. They ask for it because they know that from an engagement standpoint, it's going to create more of a connection. And again, people are staying in their space. So for the social platforms, it makes sense, but also for us as people who are trying to be visible and to create a buzz around the topics that we're talking about, and us as people who want to make deeper connections with other people without a geographic location boundary, I think video is prime for that, and especially live streaming. Let me put in here a couple more comments because I want to address some of these. +1 for staying on track thing. Yep. Okay. So Saeed is feeling that too. Dan says, my fear is being stuck on a call with Saeed for an hour. Come on now. Chocolate quilts. I'm a big talker. I need to stay focused, but I get happy and I go off the map. So I'm still afraid. But let me tell you this, chocolate quilts, you never know. That one time that you go off track, and I'm doing air quotes here because it may not be off track, it may be exactly what is necessary. What you'll find is that there may be people who were there just for that conversation. That you said just what they needed. Let me share with you one of the things that I ended up doing that made a big old difference. One of the things that I ended up doing as I started overcoming my fear and figuring out my purpose and just blasting through all of the self-critique and saying, I'm just going to do it anyway. One of the things I realized is that I needed to adopt a mantra. Okay. So I needed to set a goal. The goal was I'm going to go live once a week. Actually, it was 2 times a week. That's where I started. I'm going to go live 2 times a week. I was really ambitious for a year. So set a goal. The second thing is to adopt a mantra. A mantra is a statement of being. It's something that you're going to say over and over again. And what I decided was when I made this commitment that whenever I jump on camera, regardless of how many crickets there are, like if I see no one, if I hear no one, if there's no activity in the chat, my goal is that whatever comes out of my mouth is going to be the right message at the right time to reach the right person. Even if it was one person. And the more I hung on to that thought, that if I could just make an impact or make a ripple with one person with what I'm saying, then that's enough. That's enough to justify me going through this experiment to see what happens. So right person, right message, right time. And I just hung on to that. And I even had a sticky note that I put on my monitor to remind myself that, look, no matter what, even if there's no one here, right person, right message, right time. So what kind of mantra could you adopt that will help you to get through those tough times when there are crickets, when there are just a handful of people, or there's no one, when there's dead silence? And what's your goal? Because my goal was, I got to see if this is going to work. And I knew I needed to give myself a long enough runway. Okay? So point number 1 is it wasn't about perfection. It was about how can I be authentic and be truly myself. So part of that also was the idea that I needed to find my own voice. So some of you know that I've shared in the past that I was looking to see who can I mimic? Is there a model that I can, I can model myself after? Is there somebody who's already doing this thing that maybe I can model my own style after? And I looked and I had a really difficult time, but I just, I saw these people on there who said, there's one in particular, I'll never forget this. The guy said, well, when I get on live, when I get on camera, I just go live and I talk about the point and then I don't address people because nobody wants to hear that when they're watching the replay, and then I get off and I'm done. And so I said, okay, well, I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to jump in, I'm going to do my talk, and then I'm going to get off. But y'all, that kind of defeated the purpose of going live. It defeated the purpose because I wasn't having any engagement or conversations. And so people didn't feel like they were a part of the conversation, the discussion, the interaction. There was no interaction. I might as well have been doing videos on demand. The power of live streaming is that you get to engage in real time with real people. You get to answer questions, you get to acknowledge folks. Yeah, you get to really make, I'm going to say friends, but more than anything, I'm going to say relationships. Let me put, Saeed, I love your mantra. The mantra that Saeed shares, my sticky note says, inhale, exhale, repeat, reminding myself to pause and think for a second. Yes, absolutely. I love it. I love that. Okay, so if you have a mantra that you want to start using, pop that into the chat. So finding the voice, creating a solid goal that I could follow and say, okay, this is my runway, giving myself a long enough runway. Because if you just say, hey, I'm going to go live for, 1 week, that's probably not going to give you any type of results that you can kind of write home about. You want to give yourself enough of a stretch. So even, it may not be a year, but maybe you say to yourself, I'm going to go live once a week for 30 days, even better, 90 days. The other thing I want you to know is that it's important to start with topics that you're passionate about. Because when you're not passionate about the thing you're going to talk about, that makes it even harder. This is all part of that authenticity thing. So if you're talking about a topic just because somebody else told you you had to or you need to because that's the hot thing right now, that's probably not going to be the topic that's going to make you light up on camera. I say this all the time too, you're probably going to magnify however you're feeling, your emotions and the way that you're presenting yourself and your topic get magnified on camera. So if you don't love what you're talking about, that's going to show up. And if you are enthusiastic about it and you love it and you know it from start to finish, you understand what you're talking about to the point to where when people are hitting you up with questions, you can answer them or point them to a resource. Ooh, that's a beautiful thing. That's a whole different kind of being on camera. So all of those things have to do with the authenticity piece. Now, I'm going to share with you my original. I'm going to share with you, I'm just going to show a screenshot because remember I was telling you I used to do overlays. So I would have slides and then I would record myself. Let me show y'all how bad this video was. I'm going to screen share. Look at the quality of this thing. This thing, oh my goodness. This was bad. And most of this video, probably only the first 30 seconds or so, maybe even a minute or so, was me actually on camera. The rest of it was these slides. And look, my slides were good. But if y'all could hear me and just kind of see the image, it was not great. I'm saying this to say I didn't start with perfection. I started in a walk-in closet. I went to an office space that we kind of had, downstairs that was really messy. I had a blank white wall like you saw in the video just now. I moved all over the house to find a space where I was going to play and do this video thing. And it was not perfect. It wasn't great, but I started. And so what I want you to remember is this point number one, start now. And remember, you can build progress. You can progress versus being perfect out the gate and things will be fine. Okay. If you're committed to it, if you created that goal and when you create that mantra. Let me see what else we got here. Oh, y'all are funny. Okay. Chocolate Quilt says her mantra is eat chocolates and stay cozy. Love it. So tips for you. I've already shared a few, but here's something else that you can do from an action standpoint. Record by yourself. Record on your phone. Record before you ever have all the really fancy equipment. Don't go out and buy thousands of dollars of equipment until you're feeling like, okay, I'm at a point where I'm ready to upscale. Okay. So start with what you have. Set that small goal, whatever the goal might be, and share something that you get passionate about. That's tip number 1. All right, let's look at key point number 2. You can turn challenges into opportunities. Now, one of the things I'm never going to tell you is that, hey, you're not going to face challenges, because you will. Just about every time I get on live, every time I get on camera, there's a challenge. Just the other day, a couple weeks ago, I was doing a live stream and it cut off in the middle of the whole stream, like cut off. And it was, to me, a big deal stream because it was one where I was promoting this software, and I had told the guys who own, or the founders who own the software, and I had people coming, and other people had shared my post, and I was so excited, and it cut off in the middle of the stream, and I had literally had to start all over from scratch. So things do happen. What I don't want you to do is to think that that is your sign that you should never do a live again. Because live happens. LIVE happens. Those of us who have been streaming for some time, we know this, that anything can happen. So not only can technical glitches happen, and if you've had a technical glitch happen, I want you to pop in the chat. Just share a little bit about what was it that went wrong. I've done live streams where for the first few minutes, I was on mute and didn't even know it. Some of you know, Dan, I think you were here, and sending me notes and trying to text me and say, Tanya, we can't hear you. Right? Things went wrong, and they go wrong now. So I don't want you to feel like that is meant for you to give up and just don't come back. What I always will tell you to do, or suggest and recommend that you do, is to have a backup plan. So I have a couple of backup plans, but the other part to this whole idea of turning challenges into opportunities, there's 2 parts to it. 1, you will have technical glitches. 2, if you're broadcasting to the public, so you're live streaming to the public, you're probably going to have trolls or people with ill will showing up at some point. I just need to tell you that transparently and just prepare you for this, because it doesn't mean that your worst fears have come true. Remember I talked about the judgment thing? So I'm going to tell y'all a little bit of a story about that. I was it was 6 months to a year where my husband was going through chemotherapy. And it was because he had been diagnosed with colon cancer. And during that time, I was experiencing a lot of stress. He was experiencing way more stress, but the whole family was just under stress. And as a result, I had just really bad acne. My hair was falling out. I'll show you a picture. My hair was falling out so badly that I went to the hairdresser. I went to a stylist, and I begged and I pleaded. I had to find somebody here in Texas that could even deal with this. Let me pop it up. This was my hair. It was falling out in clumps. It was just really uneven. This probably was even after she trimmed it, but it was a mess. When I say it was a mess, this is me sitting in her seat right here. This is me when I was crying because I went to this salon and I begged and pleaded because it was called New Healthy Hair. I was looking for somebody who could actually help me with my hair. New Healthy Hair, I'll never forget this because I still go to her to this day. But I walked in there and I was crying and I said, I don't know what to do. Can you do something? And she cut it off. She just cut it completely down and we started all over. But in the process, I was still doing live streams, y'all. So I was live streaming and I had my hair super short. And I could probably pull up a video where it was super short. I'll see if I can find one really fast. But when I got on camera and was doing my thing, talking about the thing I love, my passion, a woman popped up in the chat. Now, at this time, this is something I want to share with y'all if you're new to live streaming and you're using sites or platforms where you can showcase your live stream chat in real time and you haven't put any boundaries in place, but it's just streaming across the stream. Because this can happen if you're using Restream. They have a live chat overlay where people can see it in real time. So I was doing that because I didn't know any better. This woman popped up in the feed and she said, if I were to look up the definition of unprofessional, your face would be next to it. She was talking about my hair. I know this because I asked her in the comments. I tried to ask her quietly, like, what's the problem? And it had to do with my hair. She just thought that it was not appropriate. It was not professional, whatever her thoughts were. And y'all, when I tell you that I was so taken aback, now that was a nice one because there were others where I had people that popped into the chat that had some really nasty comments that they were sharing that had nothing to do with hair, but they were just there because they had ill will. I'm saying this to say that these things happen, and it hurt. It hurt me. Like I said, I went to this salon and I was crying. Like, I don't know what to do. Women, a lot of us, our hair is our crown of glory. It just, I mean, it's a thing. And so we'll stop ourselves. We'll have these roadblocks and say, I can't do live stream. I can't do video today because I don't look right. My hair's not right. My makeup's not right, whatever that might be. And for several months after that happened, because at first I thought it didn't really impact me that much. For several months after that happened, y'all, I was wearing wigs. So I'm going to see if I can find one of those videos where you can see it, but I was wearing wigs for a long time, and it was really, now that I look back on it, I'm like, how dare I let her take control of my feeling about myself? How dare I let her put her baggage on me? Why was I carrying that as a weight on my shoulders? It was her issue. It had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with her and her own personal issue with hair, right? So yeah, it was, I started wearing wigs after that. I was trying to see if I could find one really fast for y'all where you can see where I wore wigs. But if you look on my channel way back, I'm going to see if I can find one. I wore these wigs and I wore them everywhere. I didn't just wear them for the live streams. I wore them to the soccer games. I wore them because I was internalizing what this person said and making it my issue. And at some point after a while, y'all, you get tired of carrying somebody else's baggage because you already have your own. So at some point you have to realize who you are. And this is what I always tell my kids, like, remember who you are. Don't ever let anybody else try to define who you are and what you're about. You remember who you are. You know in your soul who you are. So when you get on camera, it doesn't matter if you have a troll that pops up. It doesn't matter if there's somebody that comes on and has some negative criticism. I had a guy that wrote probably a couple months ago, wrote on my channel, my YouTube channel, under one of my videos, I love the topic that you're talking about, but I hate the shirt. So at some point in my life, I probably would have cared more. At this point, thick skin. And so one of the results, I'll say, when I talk about turning challenges into opportunities, because that's this particular point that I want to make, is that I recognize that this was an opportunity for me to speak life into you. If you're thinking about streaming, I don't want you to be caught off guard by people who have negative energy that they're trying to bring into your space. I want you to recognize that as an opportunity to overcome something that maybe you didn't even know you were facing or struggling with. Because I didn't know. I didn't know I was struggling with these self-image issues. But it really showed up when that woman popped that comment in the thing. And the other thing that I realized is this, now looking back, is that because I had been showing up consistently, my community started coming to my rescue. My community started saying positive things and started, when trolls would come in and say craziness, they would come in and they would tell them to get off, right? The consistency helped me to continue to build the real community. And so people who really weren't meant to be there got booted off quickly. The other thing that helped me with that was from a technical standpoint. I learned to get real comfortable with the dashboard. Okay? So whatever streaming platform you're using, get super comfortable with where the buttons are. Know how to block, know how to punt. Okay, so you're not just doing this mentally punting, but you're also physically looking at your technology and knowing and understanding where you can block people, how you can block people, and how not to show comments maybe that you don't really want to show on screen. So that overlay thing, I stopped doing that because I realized, wait a minute, this is public. I never know who's going to show up. So I do still to this day have people that will pop up in the comments now and then, but because I understand my platform, because I've gotten familiar with it, now it's led me to put certain things in place and to have the backups. Now from the technical glitch issue, I have a backup system so that if there's a storm and everything goes down, my computer still stays up long enough for me to do what I need to do in order to cut the stream back on and let people know or to communicate somehow. So most of the time that works, right? There are other things. If there's a backup plan B that you use right now, I want you to pop that into the comments. And let me pop some of these comments up because, yeah, y'all are in here doing it. Yes, I love it. Okay, so overthinking is real, Saeed said. I often underestimate how something I think is too basic can still be mind-blowing for many out there. Yes, because the thing that you're passionate about, you just may be used to talking about it all the time, so it seems easy to you. But it's like that gem that somebody needed to know. And you putting yourself out there, thank you for clicking the like button, David. When you put yourself out there and share what you never know what kind of impact you're going to make. Dan said, if anyone is ever nasty to you in front of me, I will go. You are so silly. I know you will. I appreciate you for having my back, Dan, at all times. Saeed said, if someone takes the time to comment on things they're not interested in, they've got issues. Ignore it and move on. That's exactly right. But sometimes that's easier said than done. And that's one thing you'll just have to grow into. I'm sharing this with you to say, these are things that will help you. If you know this up front, I'm hoping it will help you on your journey. So thank you, Chocolate Quilts, for acknowledging that. David, yes, remember who you are. Remember who you are. Oh, David, somebody called you they called you the word, and that is not okay. Saeed said, when someone occasionally makes fun of my accent or if I mispronounce a word, English is my third language. I speak your language. What have you accomplished? Okay, right? Like you're doing all the languages and they've got one, more than likely. Yes. Okay, and then David, unlimited power supply is a must. And I don't have one. I need to get two. I know, man, the backup journey is real. The backup journey is real. Look, yes, y'all. So you have to, here's the actionable lessons. What I want you to take away from this key point is don't allow criticism and negativity to hold you back from doing what you're supposed to do and from being the beautiful, incredible, amazing, smart person that you truly are. Somebody's going to miss you if you hold back. And when I was wearing those wigs, y'all, and I was kind of censoring myself, there were people that were being missed. They were missing my real message because I can't get on here on this camera and talk to you about authenticity if I'm not being real and transparent. I can't get on here and talk to you about being yourself. Look, I know I'm chill. I know that my voice, some people say it puts them to sleep. I don't know. I know all those things about myself, and I embrace that. I'm not going to be the next person who is over the top and really jumpy and excited and they have lots of things flying across their screen. I could do some of that, but it would be fake and phony and it would not show up authentically as myself. And so, one of the challenges that I had to overcome is to recognize and acknowledge my own personality and be comfortable and confident that the people who are meant for me will be attracted to my streams. And there's room for each and every one of us. We all have a message that is meant for someone. So who's your someone? If you know who your someone is, if you know who your target audience is, who's meant for you, pop that into the chat. I want to know. And it will take some time. So I'm going to give you this third tip in just a second. But first, turning challenges into opportunities to action tips for you. One of the things is to prepare a simple checklist. Prepare a couple of checklists. As a matter of fact, I'm putting together, in October I'll be releasing this, but I'm putting together something called the Livestream Launchpad, and it's going to have 3 different products in this product suite. So one of the products will help you to actually create templates for your workflow so that you know what you're going to do before you're live, you know what you're doing while you're live, and you know what you're doing after you're live. But you can create this yourself right now. So preparing a simple tech checklist before you go live is key right now. And if you're experimenting and you're just starting out, I want you to just start documenting the steps that you're taking so that you can repeat them and you can tweak them as you continue to go live. Okay? Learn basic moderation tools. So you want to understand what your platform's tools are. You need to understand where the block button is. Remember I said that? You need to know where the things are, whether you're using Restream, Ecamm Live, StreamYard, Riverside, whatever the platform is of choice, get to know it and learn it so that when you do press the go live button, you have some command over the controls, okay? And that way you can kind of manage and create those boundaries that make you feel more confident about being live and being safe. And then the other thing is to surround yourself with support. And you'll continue to do this as you build consistency and create community with your live streams, which is what we're going to talk about in point 3. I love it. Let me put some of these comments up here. And I have a question that's popped up too. I love it. I love it. We've got some first timers. Thank you, A New Positive, Therese Prentice. Love to see you. Amen. And Absolute Wonder said, thank you, thank you. Let me pop this question in here. So, One Stellar Life. I love this. Aloha all. Aloha to you. First time here, so you're my hashtag newbie. What streaming software is being used, and am I streaming to multiple platforms right now? So I am currently, this is a great question, so I'll answer this and then I'll come back to a few more comments. I'm using Ecamm Live, so that's my favorite tool of choice. I also have other platforms that I review and that I talk about as well. So I use Ecamm because I have a Mac computer, and it just, to me, is ideal for me to be able to create the different scenes that I'm showing to you today. I am streaming to multiple platforms, so I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube tonight. That's where I am. Now, am I only streaming horizontal? Yes, I am today. I have a plan. I have a game plan this fall to actually kick in with some vertical streaming as well, which you're able to do with any of the streaming platforms now. So you can do that from your desktop for the most part. And you can also do that from your phone if you choose to do that in vertical. I would love to do Ecamm Live to Instagram, potentially even to TikTok, because I've qualified for that. But that's not what I'm doing today. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, let me pop up a couple of other really quick comments, and then we'll go into point number 3. Let's see. One Stellar Life, thank you. And I'm grateful that you're here. I appreciate you for that comment. Your voice and vibe are fabulous. Grateful to find you. I am grateful that you're here. Alicia, this is perfect. Okay, Alicia Thomas in the house, y'all. I'm creating an error log for the mistakes. I love it. Yes, 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 yes. And amen to supporter, Saeed said. Having buddies show up, keep the chat alive, and offer support takes away so much stress and pressure. Yes. I see you, Gabe. What's good, fam? And then Dan has a question for me. You're so welcome, Therese. Why have you not worked with a developer to create your own automation content creation? I actually do have a tool that will be launched in October as well. It's maybe not as robust as what you're sharing here, but I do love that idea, Dan. I love it. Okay, let's talk about point number 3. Point number 3 is going to help you with the other two in a major way. And so, what Saeed said about yes to having support and community, and what I shared with you about having the community that showed up for me and started to kind of go to bat for me so that when people were coming in with craziness, they were helping me to be lifted up and helping me to feel like, okay, I feel power. I feel it coming through like it's coming across the internet vibes, right? This was why it was number 3, point number 3. My action item for you, number 3, is be consistent. Show up to grow up. When you first start out going live or really doing anything, you're in the baby stages. You're still a little immature. You're learning. And if you give up on yourself too quickly, you will never find your sea legs. So the important thing is to continue to show up. What I love to say, especially for those of you who are brand spanking new to this and you've never streamed before, is that you don't just come in here confidently. Usually that doesn't happen. I mean, it's a rare few, maybe. But you build your confidence muscle by building your competence muscle. And the way you become more competent is because you continue to get on camera in spite of, regardless of the things that could hold you back. So the issues, the glitches, the trolls, the feeling unprepared, the feeling unworthy, all of those things that we talked about in point 1 and point 2, you push past those and you continue to show up. And that starts to build your competence. So you become more competent and then you become more confident. Okay? So it's not like an overnight thing. I showed you an earlier video where I looked pretty bad, y'all. And I've got some other ones where I really look bad. I have some other ones where you can see my computer is like looking straight up my nose because I was just using the native PC camera, the webcam. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to push through. And so the more you can do that, the more you will grow. And you never see anything as a fail. And this applies not just to streaming. So I hope you're taking this away. It's not about failure. These are lessons. Everything that seems like it's a mistake, everything that seems like it's a fail is an opportunity for you to learn and to grow. So the more you show up, the more you're going to fall. The more you show up, the more mistakes are going to happen. The more you show up, the more you're going to have technical issues and other kind of things that are just crazy that are going to pop up. It's going to happen. But you start to build your muscle and you start to realize, okay, look, I can get past that. If nobody's hurt in the making of your live stream, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, then it's a good day. Because things are going to happen. And you're still going to be okay. You're going to survive it. And you're going to be okay. So the points that I want to share here. When I first started, I was talking to a lot of empty rooms. Meaning that, remember I said I showed up every week for a year. There's a couple of things that I had to overcome. I had to overcome that whole judgment of appearance thing. And so one of the things that I did is I put a baseball cap under my desk so that if for some reason, knowing that I was supposed to go live, I told people I'm going to go live on this day at this time. If for some reason I was holding myself back because of appearance or, whatever it might be, the hair, then I just pull that baseball cap out and put it on. And now I have my own merch so I can advertise while I'm doing it, right? Right? Another thing, in spite of the fact that there were crickets, in spite of the fact that no one was showing up, I still ensured that I went live anyway, because what I started to discover is that there were people that were showing up on the replay. And what the lesson was is, let me take a look and see if this timing is right. When are people watching the replay? Because that could give me some clues. So everything leaves breadcrumbs. Every fail, every mistake, every time something's not going right, it's leaving a breadcrumb for you to follow. That left a breadcrumb for me to research and to see, is there a different time that I need to do this? What are people saying they really want to know most from me? Now, you're going to continue to adapt and to ask that question. It's not going to just end with the first month or the first year. Every time I think about it, actually, I have this planned out now, like every quarter, I'm going to be asking. I'm doing a little survey, a little mini survey, a little casual survey out in my socials and asking people, so what do you really want to learn from me? And that way it helps me to really figure out my topics and what I need to talk about. Yeah, let me pop this up. So Dan he said, it's still better than when Haley streaked and I mooned the audience during one of your lives. So Dan was a guest on my show, and his baby girl, she was ready for her bath. And it happened. Things happen. And we recovered pretty quickly. Yeah, if you're not hurt in the filming of the live stream, you're good to go. Gabe, I love my cover, and it does add flavor to my Shure mic. But I also ordered from Doc Rock. I'm waiting on the cover that I've got from him. I ordered one because he's created some that are multicolors. I wish I had the website. I would share it with y'all. But if I can find it, I'll put it into the description later on. Yeah, the consistency began to build trust. The fact that I was on regularly, even though I shifted times to make sure to experiment a little bit and see, like, when are people on, I kept taking the little breadcrumbs and creating something that I could follow and that I could continue to do regularly. I couldn't be like everybody else and go live daily. It just doesn't work for my schedule. It just doesn't. But I could commit to a week. So what is your commitment? And how can you consistently show up in a way that doesn't feel like you're burning out, but it feels like it's lighting you up in a positive way? It's making you feel joy. It's giving you opportunities for you to really shine and to connect with people who you enjoy spending time with. Like, I enjoy spending time with all of you in here because I have been consistent, and because I show up, you continue to show up. Because I show up, I'm growing up. And that is the point of consistency. That is what I mean when I say point number 3, okay? Actionable lessons: be there for your audience. The more you show up for your audience, the more they'll show up for you. That's my action item for your lesson. Another one is to engage and listen. So don't just become a talking head. If you're using live streaming, your goal should be engagement. Your goal should be to acknowledge people. People want to know that you see them, that you hear them, that you're there with them in the conversation. So acknowledge folks. This may take some time because it can be a juggle, learning the dashboard, learning where to press go and to press stop, making sure that you're acknowledging comments. That will come with practice. So I want you to continue to practice. I want you to continue to build the competence muscle that we talked about. Here's something else. Promote your live streams on your platforms. If you're going to show up, you need to let people know you're showing up. So find that time of day, and even if it's sporadic, even if it varies because of the situation that you're in realistically, which I'm a firm believer in a realistic schedule. I'm a firm believer that None of us has the same exact life. I bet you nobody in this chat has the same exact living situation where your day-to-day schedule is the same. So please don't listen to people who are telling you you have to do something a certain way. Yes, there's blueprints you can follow. Yes, there are formulas. I like to share tips with you, but I need you to take it and to internalize it and to apply it to your real life calendar. So find those times in your week where you can dedicate the time to put your live stream together, where you can dedicate the time to actually do the recording, and where you can dedicate the time to repurpose it, because there's gold in there in the repurposing. All right. Yes, and David, that was one of the reasons why I went live a little bit earlier, because I wanted to make sure to jump off so that I could also participate in that live stream. All right, y'all. So I'm going to really quickly recap the 3 message points, and hopefully this is of help to you. Let's do it real fast here for you so that you can go on about your evening, because we'll be on for about an hour in just about 5 minutes. The time goes by so quickly. Here's number 1. Start now. You don't have to wait. You have enough. You are enough. You are worthy. You can start now. And just remember that it's progress over perfection. So get focused on progressing, not being perfect. That's point number 1. You may feel vulnerable. You may feel that you're going to be judged, all those other things. If you can push past that and create a schedule for yourself that you can follow right now, that's the key. Don't worry about the lights being green before you pull out of the garage. Point number 2, turn challenges into opportunities. So these are learning opportunities. They're not fails. They're not mistakes. They're not bad things. When your technical glitches happen, when people who come in with a less than stellar purpose into your chat to do negative things and to create adversity, right? Learn how to overcome those situations. Learn your software. You learn your platform. Turn it into an opportunity for growth. And then point number 3 is be consistent and continue to show up so that you can grow up. You grow your audience, you grow yourself personally, professionally, all the things, because you continue to show up. These are the things I wanted to share with you tonight. If you haven't already, I want you to be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to this video no matter where you are. Yes, I spend more of my time on YouTube these days, but I'm also broadcasting right now on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. I would love for you to hang out with us on Thursdays. Come and hang out in the chat. One day, come and be a guest. I mean, who knows? I think I'm going to do some type of open mic type of thing at some point in the future. But right now, I'm going to stay focused on these Stream Boss Chronicles. Next week, we're going to be talking about another topic here inside of our Stream Like a Boss TV. And I am excited to also bring to you a couple of guests that we have coming on, but they're going to be pre-recorded. One of them is an attorney who's going to talk a little bit about streaming and making sure that you're protecting yourself ethically and from a legal standpoint, the different types of exposures that you could run into when it comes to AI and other things as you're creating content. So we're going to hear from her. I'm really excited about that one. She's had to move it out a little bit, but that is coming. We've got a lot of things coming up in October as far as workshops, so I hope to see you there. Stay connected and follow us over at streamlikeaboss.tv. Okay? All righty, folks. I love it. And thank you, Saeed, for that comment. Let me put that up there real fast, too. We should also show up to other sessions to support and cheer. Exactly. So one of the things that I want to do, Saeed, and I'm looking forward to doing this with your show as well as several of you who are here, I want to make sure that I know when you're going live. So I've started trying to create my own little calendar. But what I may do, and I'm thinking about this for 2025, so hopefully for those of you who are here who have your own live streams, I have something called Brilliant Directory. It's a platform where hopefully if I can gather information about different people's shows, I can put that into a Brilliant Directory site, and that way you'll see where other people who are friends of Stream Like a Boss TV, where they're broadcasting and what time and day, if there's a regular date and time. I also have Stream Like a Boss TV on Roku and Apple TV coming up. So I'm super excited about that. And yes, Erica, I like your idea as well. More to come, but stay tuned. Okay. All right, folks. Thanks again, as always. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next week in the stream.